Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Peru Community Podcast, where we explore honest conversations with people who are shaping the future of work, learning, and community. Today, I'm excited to sit down with King, a career coach, trainer, and founder of Thrive Coaching. And she's helped many internationals build their careers and confidence here in the Netherlands. But before all that, she was a law student, a yoga enthusiast, and a curious mind who moved across cultures. Let's dive into her story and see what she has to share with us. Happy to have you. This is the third time officially we are talking to each other.
That's
And
true.
I'm happy to have you in this episode. Just I wanted to ask you in the beginning if you want to introduce yourself from your point of view, feel free to share it.
Thank you, Ben, for the opportunity. Happy to be here. Yeah, you already did a very good summary about me, professionally. What else could I add? Yeah, I'm from China originally. I came here in 2008 to study law at the University of Groningen. I had a Dutch partner, and I've been living more than 10 years here in the northern parts of the Netherlands. I speak fluent Dutch, although that's cost a lot of efforts, tears and bloods, as you might put it. Uh, yeah, and now I help internationals find their career and their professional circle here in the northern part of the Netherlands.
Thank you. Thank you for your introduction and sharing more details. First of all, I'm really interested to focus more on your journey from China to the Netherlands and then Lao to coaching. I mean, it seems for me you have two different major movements. One of them from China to the Netherlands, another one started from Laos, and then now you are focusing on coaching, mostly focusing on internationals. Can you tell us a little bit more about your journey? How did you end up in the Netherlands?
Yeah, I studied law also in Beijing. That's my bachelor for 4 years. And I'm always interested in different culture, different people. That's why at that time I was already polishing my English. And I had this plan of going abroad to deepen my knowledge and also to experience the outside of the world. Because I'm always very curious about things that's different from me. So, as you might know, that in The Hague, there are many international organizations that have something to do with law, and The Hague is called the legal capital of the world. So, when I was navigating which universities that I would like to apply, I heard about the Netherlands, and people told me, "Oh, it's they have very good law programs, and maybe after graduation, you might be able to do an internship in The Hague because there are so many international organizations." So that's why in the end I decided to come to the Netherlands. And why Groningen? It's simply because the program international law and the law of international organizations really spoke to me. That's why in the end I ended up in the north.
It seems after that you decided to shift in a different way, start a new journey, focusing on coaching and education. This is another story, yeah?
Yeah, well, there are many stories, but in China, it's very common that parents decide everything for you. What you wear, what you're gonna study, and who you're gonna marry. I mean, not that strict, black and white, but so law was chosen by my parents. I wanted to study English, some language related program, but my father decided that law is very important, so he chose this program for me. It's not really what I wanted. Nevertheless, I finished the program. I got my degree, but then at some point I started to think, oh, what do I really want? Because here in the Netherlands, it's a very free spirited country, and entrepreneurship is pretty much promoted. If you have a dream, you have an idea, and if you put work into it, you can make it. So at some point, I got my first job at the Rug. That's still about education and also in the law faculty. It was a temporary job where I was functioning as study advisor for international students. I really enjoyed it because it was in my own faculty. But then after 8 years at the work, I really start to think what I really want to do, because I do not really. I have a law background, which is very convenient. That I can write and I can read, and law text is not really a problem. But the question about what I really want to do, that's a billionaire question. I mean, so that's the moment I decided to really do something that I enjoy, and I know that I enjoy different cultures. I like sharing my experience, and that's the moment I decided, okay, I would really like to do something to spread my experience, to spread my wisdom to the international, my international fellows, so they can also have a better integration process here, especially here in the northern part of the Netherlands.
And as you know, you and I both moved to the Netherlands. Of course, many years ago, you moved to the Netherlands, and I just moved 2 years ago. We both have been experiencing lots of challenges, struggles, and things like that. And it's not just about you and I, it's about all those internationals who already decided to move to the Netherlands. That's why I'm really interested to learn more about your point of view related to what are some common challenges internationals face. What are some common challenges internationals face when they decide to start their journey in academia, in the job market, or living here, running a business, or whatever?
What common challenge would be the lack of network. And maybe one step before that is to figure out who we really are and what we really want. Based on my own experience, I didn't really know. I just following the path my parents decided for me. And once you are abroad, I find it's even more important to figure out what you really want, because there's this actual layer of cultural diversity, of cultural differences. So if you have never stand still or reflect on what you really want, then maybe at some point you might experience like what I did, this identity crisis. It's, don't get me wrong, it's not bad, even though I use the word crisis. I think it's a very good opportunity to really sort of force you to look inside, besides this title, besides this study, besides what you're learning, who you really are. I think once you have a little bit clear about what you really want and what are your strengths and your talents or your skills, then it will be actually easier for you to navigate in the job market. Because here I feel people really appreciate authenticity. Uh, as I said before, it's very much promoting the entrepreneurship. But then you really need to know, what are the beliefs that you strongly stand behind. um, and then from that moment, I think then you need to intentionally put some effort in building your network. And you're doing very well, Ben. I think you should be an example for many international. Yeah, to really talk to people and very attentively and figure out what added value you can bring to people. And I think, that's because internationals usually you're here and you don't really have the network that the locals usually have. So with that, you need to intentionally approach people and listen to people and build your own network. So that's challenge number two. Um, yeah, I think those are the two main challenges. And if you say more specifically on how to apply for a job, yeah, I think then the cultural differences play a role again. So you also need to understand what's common here in the Netherlands when it comes to applying for jobs. But that's something you can also learn or search. So I think for many highly educated internationals, that shouldn't be a big hurdle. You just need to be aware of the differences and then figure out a way to tackle it. But the first two, I feel it's something you need to bear in mind, and it takes some time to figure those two questions out.
That's right. And very first time we met each other was in one of the events at Hansa University, as I remember. That was career fair. Over there, you gave talk about networking and how it's important to have access more opportunities in the job market, which means, as you mentioned, building kind of community and networking is so important in the Netherlands, of course, everywhere, including Netherlands. You already shared something, but if you want just to share one very top tip, what it would be?
Learn some Dutch
Why?
because I'm talking about the northern part of the Netherlands, right? And we really want to keep the talent here because Groningen really has a lot to offer. But there is still some differences when it comes to Groningen and the Randstad. Here in the north, I feel the personal connections are even more valued. And how do you build connections? And I think language is really the very first step, to build this network. I feel if you want to have a solid network in the Netherlands, having some locals or Dutch friends or colleagues, that's super important. So being able to speak their language would not only help you with your daily life, let's say the tax refunds, the tax return forms, or dealing with the tax authority, but being able to speak Dutch would really enormously help you open more opportunities when it comes to professional or personal growth. So if your goal is to stay in the Netherlands, regardless Groningen, or you would like to move, learn some basic Dutch, or more if you have the ambition to speak fluent Dutch. That's something I would really encourage the students to do.
And as I understand, learning Dutch, the main benefit is kind of opportunity for bridging between you and the local people. And maybe now it's a good idea to talk a little bit more about that kind of bridging. What I mean about bridging, because when we are thinking about networking, community building, I don't know, same as the point you mentioned, learning a new language related to that new context is focusing on build kind of connection between your words, your mind with them. How can both internationals and local build better bridges in terms of different settings? I'm not just talking about, for example, personal life or professional life. Anyway, when you are living somewhere, you are engaging with different people in different contexts. Do you have any specific piece of advice to share with us how we can, as internationals living in the Netherlands, learn or try to build kind of bridges between our words and the words of the people who are locally living here, the Dutch people, I mean.
That's a very big question, Ben. I think first of all, both parties need to be open for that. You see some international students, they are very comfortable with their own bubble, which means they go to school and they come back, they have their own bubble, and they're okay with that. Then that's fine. Uh, but there are also people like you and me. We're curious. We want to integrate. We want to learn. We want to understand. And then we also need same-minded Dutch people who would also like to be more diverse, who want to understand internationals, who welcome internationals. So I feel the playgrounds need to be ready for those who like to merge or build the bridges, so we can really play in that playground. And secondly, having a open mind. Do not judge that fast, but really have this curious mindset to try to understand the other. Leave your own belief or your own uh, value first. Maybe put it aside and just try to understand the perspective from the other person. Have a dialogue instead of an argument. Because when it comes to culture, I mean, every culture has two sides. Their advantages, and there's something that's maybe less. But I always believe you can learn from everybody and anybody. Oh, yeah, just be curious and learn from them. Uh, and thirdly, yeah, maybe that's goes back again to the networking. Maybe find a community like Ben, but there are also more that's more internationally friendly communities here in the north, like International Welcoming Center North. Making the North is also doing a lot of efforts in helping internationals make the bridge with the local companies. So find a community that speaks to you, talk to people, be curious, be open minded. And I think that would already get you a long way.
Yeah, you mentioned IWCA, and I know you already did something in collaboration with them. And also you are familiar with how Dutch system supports internationals. If you could change one thing about how the Dutch system supports internationals, what would it be?
Have a network based community, for internationals, because that's going to tackle the lack of network for internationals. Um, I'm a volunteer at IWCN. So I occasionally organize events for internationals. But I feel if I look at the what are the organizations that are available for Dutch people to network, I don't see the equivalent ones for internationals. So for those who want to build their career, who want to network professionally, such organization or such community is lacking, in my view. We do have a lot of communities for socializing. Uh, that's nice. That's really good. But purely for a professional networking, I don't see that immediately. I mean, such organization or association for internationals, I don't see that immediately. So maybe that's something the policymakers or the Dutch could also think about it and make it possible. That would be very nice.
And if I ask you about, based on your experience of living, working, communicating with different people, organizations, I mean, internationals in different settings, as you know, at Better Community, we are focusing on building kind of community-driven initiative for helping people, not just internationals. Even our main focus area is SMEs, small and medium-sized enterprises. But at the same time, we are trying to support professionals, including, for example, international students or knowledge workers. Now we are working with Hansa University on a project for helping international students to navigate their career path by applying Future's literacy framework, and we have some more plans. But if you want to share one piece of advice for us at Peru Community to apply it to, I mean, bring more value in this region and in the Netherlands, I'm all ears to hear.
Yeah, because this is a bit difficult because I don't know exactly how you are collaborating and how you are doing that. So that's a bit difficult for me to give advice.
Yeah, my question is, if you want to do something and you think it's really important to consider by others, same as me, to try to bring that idea into reality. For example, I know you already started focusing on mentoring internationals to help them in their career path.
Mm.
Okay. But it's kind of for you, for now, it's kind of individual approach. But as I told you before, I'm trying to, to build kind of community driven platform to do more, not just kind of personal, efforts. That's why maybe you think, okay, however, this is a good idea, but I prefer not to do it because I have some more priority for myself.
Yeah, I'm not doing it because, we all have limited time and energy. And besides doing my own entrepreneurship, I also have a job. So for me, it's always part time, on the naming. But if you're doing community, of course, then what you can do is having a peer support group because you already have the people, and people can really support each other, and that's what I observed. If I give a workshop or a training, you notice at some point they are just giving each other tips and advice, and that's really beautiful to see because For instance, what you can do is a peer support group for people who are looking for a job, the recent graduates, because out of my experience and also what I observe, it this can be applying for jobs after you graduate can be really lonely and difficult process. And if you don't have your close friends nearby or your family, this can really do something to your mental health. Um, so I think it would be great to because my focus is indeed career coaching, and if you ever need me to give a training or workshop to your community, I'd happy to do that. But I feel even communities they themselves can very much support each other. If you have the platform already, give them the liberty, and yeah, you will see that the community they can just grow very organically and start supporting each other. And I think supporting each other during the application process can be really beneficial for many recent graduate students.
And maybe the people, maybe they are listening to us. Maybe they know that we have a Peru Community Club, which is online community. People can join and they have access to some more opportunities for connecting with others, sharing their experience, knowledge, as well as they have some events, online and in-person events for, uh, I mean, it could be educational workshops or just networking and casual events. Also, these podcasts and some other initiatives, we are all the time, we are happy to have people who are interested to engage in our community. But at the same time, I want to ask you uh, about yourself as the last question. Where can people find you to learn more about what you do or even connect with you, asking you helps or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm quite active on LinkedIn, and I think it's a great way to start connecting. You can simply send me. But I would say, if you want to connect, always leave a personal note behind. Because if you're gonna connect with someone with whom you don't really have a mutual contact, or if it's in Dutch cold acquisition, it's always nice to leave a personal note and tell me who you are and why you want to connect. I'm always very happy and open for a networking meeting. Other than that, on my website, on my LinkedIn profile, you can also see my websites, and there you can also find me. But I think linking would be the most straightforward way because there we immediately see what kind of qualifications, what kind of experience you already have. And that already gives each other a overview and impression.
Of course, you're sharing your LinkedIn profile in the description of this episode, which means people, if they check the description or the caption in our posts in different social media channels, they can find you easily and connect to you.
That would be great.
So, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your insights, your journey, your thoughts with us today. You've reminded us how powerful it is to stay curious, build connections, focusing on networking and embrace growth, even across cultures. And even it could be really important more than anything else because it helps you to engage more, have access more opportunities in the job market, and also personally, maybe you can integrate with the new context as well. For those people who are listening to us, if you want to learn more about King's work, check as I said, the description. We are sharing the info, more details, and also the LinkedIn profile as well over there. And feel free to follow us on different social media channels. Also, we are publishing this episode, same as the previous ones, on different platforms such as Spotify, Castbox, Apple Podcasts, and so on. To our listeners, again, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time on the Bennu Community Podcast. Thank you again, King, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you very much, man. Have a good one.
Fabulous. Thank you.